Deputy Phelan, Deputy Nochlin, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and my privilege to attend here tonight in Carrick-on-Shannon as part of our journey throughout the country as we prepare for the people's decision on the 25th of February in the forthcoming general election. This is part of my itinerary that I've some track record in, as I believe that politics is essentially about people. It's always about interaction with people, listening to their concerns and their anxieties, and hopefully through good decision making in politics, deal with aspects of what people actually raise. I'm aware that this is but one part of what constitutes a general election, and for my part, I'm very happy in future times to participate in multi-leader debates on television to explain our plan for getting Ireland back to work and to have no fear about doing that. In that regard, I want to say that tonight's occasion is about explaining somewhat about what our plan to get Ireland working actually is. More importantly, to listen to your observations and your proposals and your ideas and indeed your questions. I've invested a great deal of time in the last 8 years in travelling through the length and breadth of this country, in listening to the voices of our people, the voices of the young, the voices of the not so young, the voices of those who are employed, the voices of those who are unemployed, the voices of those in business, the voices of those on the land, indeed the voices of those far away from this land about their views on our country. I've been in the corridors speaking to patients on trolleys. I've been in hospital wards. I've met the patients all over the country who are on waiting lists or who can't get on waiting lists. I know the voice of Ireland. I know the anxiety of our people. I know their fears for the security of our country, for our future, for their families, and what's involved here. And that's why I welcome the fact that this election process is well underway, and that at long last the people of this country, the electorate, are now involving themselves in the intricacies of the electoral plans and programmes that are on offer from the various parties. I believe that our plan, Let's Get Ireland Working, is the best of those plans, and I also believe, and why wouldn't I, that I have the best team to implement that plan if the people give us their imprimatur and their trust and their votes. I understand the depth of anger that's out there, the rage that is felt by so many people when they see their dreams shattered and their aspirations broken and their futures disrupted. That anger, real and raw as it is, unfortunately will not get our country working. That's why in this election, I've said repeatedly, I want people to have the opportunity to turn that anger into action, into electoral action, into casting the most powerful democratic weapon that they have, which is their vote, in favour of a party that has listened to their concerns, that has addressed their concerns, and is now in the process of explaining to them how we expect to deal with those concerns. I've worked on this plan over the last number of years. It's a sensible plan, it's a realistic plan, it's about getting Ireland working, about fixing the broken systems, about changing the direction of our country. It's about my belief, after so many years in politics and so many elections, that politics, good politics, actually does work in the interests of people if there is strong leadership, if there is courage, if there is decisiveness, and if there is fairness in the way the decisions are taken in the interests of the people. Right now, our country is not working the way that it should. Personal Ireland and private Ireland is not working the way that it should. Our people, those who are working harder than ever, like the man I met in Athlone today, frontline service, working harder than ever, and sees his position being pressurised on a continuous basis because decisions being made are unfair and across the board. Have our entrepreneurs or creative people run out of ideas? No, they haven't. Actually, our young people in that sector are more creative than ever before. They want to live and they want to work in this country. and we should be in a position politically to give them that opportunity if that's what they want to do. On an occasion when the remnants of the government are still either double jobbing or in some cases treble jobbing, the systems that they have presided over are not working for the people, are not working the way they should for the people. My intention is to change that and to lead by example from the front, to roll up the sleeves and show the people of our country that politicians, if they're seriously interested, can actually help to motivate to change the direction of our country and build our reputation again. Our plan, my plan, the Fine Gael plan, is a 5-point plan. And I'm going to go through some of those with you before you have your observations or your questions. Jobs and opportunities are undoubtedly the very best way of keeping our best asset at home. And our best assets are our young people. And it's a sacrilege, really, that so many are now leaving our shores for Australia and Canada and America and Great Britain and elsewhere. And I have their texts and their emails and their phone calls. And it's very difficult, irrespective of how sophisticated technology is, there is nothing to compare or contrast the depth of feeling as the human tear. And I know mothers and fathers and families who are now distraught as they see their children reared in a way that they felt they could stay in Ireland, who now have to go. That spectre of emigration in this part of our country was always there, was always behind the shield, and is now again a reality. And jobs and opportunities are the way to put an end to that and to have a situation where they can live and work here if that's what they want to do. We want to create, in real jobs, 20,000 a year by our investment in what we call New Era. That is taking money from the remainder of what's left in the Pension Reserve Fund by selling surplus state assets or non-strategic state assets and using that money to make real development in water, in broadband, in renewables, in the infrastructure that's really critical, which will make our country both attractive for investment from at home and even more attractive for investment from abroad. I'm also concerned to translate this plan into the reality of Carrick-on-Shannon, or Newtown Gore, or Leitrim, or wherever, that you can say, what does this actually mean for me, for our town, for our townland, or for our village? So that we can say, you can create a welfare system that encourages work, where there's seen to be a difference between those who work and those who don't. Where you can say to employers, if you are involved in the tourism industry, so important here in Carrick, that you can influence that by changes in the PRSI and the VAT system. That, for instance, if you're involved in the hotel business, as in this premises, we propose to reduce the employer's PRSI by 50%, which is a saving and an incentive to an employer in respect of their current employees and in respect of potential new employees. And also in respect of the tourism industry, to reduce the rate of VAT from 13.5% to 12%, which gives a further incentive to be involved in this labour-intensive area, and there are a whole range of things that are covered from that. By 2016, which is the centenary of the anniversary of the first faltering, stumbling steps which ended in rebellion and death for many involved, the first steps towards economic sovereignty and political independence. I want Ireland to be recognised as the best small country in the world in which to do business, in which to raise a family, and indeed in which to grow old with dignity and respect.